Originally, this video was gonna be for 500 subs, but, you know, plans changed a bit, I guess. Anyways, since a lot of new subscribers might not know my history, allow me to tell you the tale of days long past. Days in which I was a League of Legends player for 3 gruesome, terrible, horrendous long years. It's an exaggeration, of course, but, you know, intros aside, let me paint you the full story. A younger Wilson, who had been playing Dota since 2015, was bored during the pandemic. Scarecrows were often something on his mind, when a very specific scarecrow thought came to him in his head. Hey, didn't League of Legends have like a scarecrow character or something? Now, Wilson had a choice to make. This fellow made quite the impression upon him, but he was a Dota player. Any self-respecting Dota player would turn their nose up at the thought of even considering League of Legends. And yet, this character called to him like a whisper from the grave. The character design, the voice acting, the lore. No, resistance must be mustered. Though, try as he might, the young Wilson would cave and install League of Legends on June 16th, 2020. But of course, he didn't spend the day actually playing the game. Rather, he spent his time learning what every character did before he actually joined into a game. He, of course, forgot most of this information, and he began his gameplay journey the next day. I really enjoyed my first few months with League of Legends. I, of course, one-tricked Fiddlesticks and loathed the games where it was banned. In those instances, I would either dodge in the draft, or I bit the bullet and played a character I had no experience with, and lost in 15 minutes and moved on. For all you Dota fellows in the crowd, the best way I can explain Fiddlesticks is that it is the most Dota-like character in League of Legends. If you ported this character over to Dota 2, it would be an amazing position 4 or mid laner. He has a big teamfight ultimate, a point-and-click fear, a short little AoE life drain, and a silent skill shot. It was a blast to play, and its kit fit its theme excellently. This huge teamfight ultimate is a literal jump scare. Reminiscing about it almost makes me want to go back. Almost. But I won't, and I'll explain that later. Now, why did I find myself drawn to Fiddlesticks? Yeah, it's a scarecrow. Plenty of games have scarecrows, but you don't see me going out of my way to play them. What made this one special enough to get me to download Lego of Legumes on my PC? Well, a few things. Firstly, its character design. It just looks so off. Like something's not right here. It's got 2 hands, but then a third hand that acts like a foot, except when it runs, and then that third hand stops being used as a foot. Not to mention it twitches all around, trying to keep itself in control or something. It's cobbled together with a bunch of farm equipment with scraps of burlap draped over it, as if to conceal the true horror that lies beneath. And to top it all off, this unsettling, creepy, haunting amalgamation of horror is named Fiddlesticks. There's a certain mix of whimsy and terror in a name like that. It's almost like it was a bedtime story adults told to scare children, only for them to laugh about the absurdity of such a thing even existing. Until it's actually real. And that segues into the second big reason why I was hooked on this guy. The lore. Fiddlesticks is essentially that, a scary bedtime story. But it used to be this ancient primal horror that stalked the world, and under mysterious circumstances, faded away from the realms. And all the haunting accounts and chilling tales of insane survivors were passed down through generations, until they all faded into nothing but a fable. Nothing more than a silly old boogeyman named Fiddlesticks that was laughed about by adults and children alike. But, drawn in by a global climate of fear and paranoia, it managed to claw its way back into the world, manifesting once more, feeding upon fear. Fiddlesticks was a tall tale no longer, but an active eldritch threat that would terrorize and consume anything it could get its hands on. But Fiddlesticks itself isn't much of a character, rather an animalistic force of nature. It only wants two things: for you to be very afraid, and then for you to be very dead soon after. The deeper lore surrounding Fiddy is wicked interesting, and definitely worth looking into, even if you're not a League of Legends fan. With regard to the animalistic behaviors, we reach the third and final reason why I was drawn to this character so much. The voice lines. Now, this little goober here can't make a voice of its own. It can, however, mimic what it hears. This results in Fiddlesticks saying whatever its terrified victims were saying before they died.
It's hunting us! It knows what we're afraid of! You're not real! See, it's just a scarecrow! It's in the house!
Also keep in mind, Fiddlesticks doesn't know what it's saying. All it knows is that these sounds generate a reaction of fear out of people, so it's going to keep doing that. It doesn't care if it called out to you in the voice of your own mother or invoked your worst trauma. In fact, that would probably be ideal from its point of view. It wants to feed, plain and simple. Now, you might be thinking, wow, a lot of editing must have gone into producing a voice like that.
Sound like
End of men!
first of 10!
Yeah, that's not a filter. Kellen Goff, Fiddle's voice actor, can just do that. It sounds so cool. He explains how he does the voice in a neat little video, which I'll link in the description. It sounds so cool, and back then I got pretty good at replicating it, I think. I haven't done it in a while, but I guess I might as well try for the video's sake.
Fiddlesticks, end of men, fiddle.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I need a drink. Oh yeah, Cullen Goff also voiced the clown skin.
The worst part of clowning? No life insurance.
All these three elements came together to forge a perfect character for me to play. It even became part of my name. I just stapled sticks onto my already existing username. I know, genius, right? Once 2021 came around, I was finally ready to give Ranked a try. I developed a strategy that was simple, but I would follow it to a T because I really wanted to do good on this character. I was more motivated than ever to excel, even more than when I would play Ranked Dota. Alright, anyways, my strategy was to pick Fiddlesticks, ban Hecarim or Udyr, and pray to God before every match. And it worked, with flying colors. Within 4 months, I reached Platinum. At the time, that was better than 90% of the player base, so naturally, I was immensely proud of this. I had accomplished this within less than a year of picking up the game. It was a wondrous journey with an amazing climax that I couldn't thank God more for taking me on. After I hit Platinum, my motivation had kinda died out. I was happy with my results, and even though I tried to climb, there wasn't really ever a strong drive to go higher. Afterwards, I finally gave some other characters to try and began to develop an actual hero pool instead of one-tricking. My League of Legends experience after this success would pretty much only go down from here. During my climb to Platinum, I was pretty much untiltable. I didn't know what half the hero roster did, nor was I familiar with the items outside of the ones that gave ability power. So I really couldn't get mad at others for annoying kits or misusing abilities, because I really had no idea what was going on until I showed up and pressed R on 5 people. But, as I gained more experience, I quickly realized what was good against me, and that people were wisening up on how to play against this Fiddlesticks character. And over the years, I began to develop a hatred for a specific class of heroes. Bruisers. Think heroes in Dota like Alchemist or Tiny. Both quite survivable, both able to put out a lot of damage. It also didn't help that a lot of these bruiser characters were junglers like Fiddlesticks. The League of Legends bruisers are an entirely different breed of teeth-gnashing todwaddle. They tank everything, they kill everything, and move very fast. Additionally, they are mostly strong during the early to mid-game, the specific stage of the game in which Fiddle is kinda dog water. And of course, the cherry on top, they all have some form of hard crowd control. You see this ability right here? This AoE life drain? Yeah, this makes up 90% of Fiddle's damage outside of his ult. 40% of the cooldown gets refunded if the full duration goes off, but if it gets cancelled, you have to wait the full 10 seconds before using it again. So fighting any of these characters, either in a team fight or in a skirmish, was almost impossible. I'd show you footage of this happening, but I don't want to induce trauma-related vomiting by having to dig up all that stuff again. Playing against these bruiser characters just felt so oppressive. It was hard to actually have fun a lot of the time because any engagement I had was them running at me until I died, with little I could do to fight back. Even while playing other characters besides Fiddlesticks, their balance was just awry, it seemed. Speaking of which, and I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here, why are there some characters that can just zing out spells for free? Take the Wind Brothers, for example. Both of them can just use their spells for nothing. No mana, no energy, nothing. I play mages all the time. I gotta be careful with how I use my abilities, because if I'm out of mana, I might as well be a ranged creep. But not these tumors. They don't have to think about saving their resources. An entire whole skill of laning just removed from these characters. It felt so unfair going up against these heroes. There were so many instances where I was out of mana as Veigar or Karthus, and I just could not contest, where someone like Kled or Garen could just turn up and go in. It was frustrating on a soul-rending level. But that wasn't what pulled me away from League of Legends. No, I learned to live and let live with bruisers and resourceless heroes. What got me away from League of Legends were two larger issues. The first one was a clear favoritism for characters. One of the other characters I came to really enjoy playing was, aforementionedly, Karthus. Despite how long he had been in the game, his skin count of 9 wasn't really substantial, and he didn't have a coveted legendary skin. A legendary skin would give the character new animations, voice lines, emotes, etc. Kind of like an Arcana, but not as prestigious. Anyways, Karthus never received one, despite being in the game since like 2009. But you know who got 3 legendaries in the span of 4 years? And not only that, this character got as many skins as Karthus within that same time frame. Yone. The obvious, weeaboo bait, anime samurai character with the edgy backstory and personality and character design to match. But he's not the only one who has shown this favoritism. A small handful of 30 heroes out of the 160 plus hero roster hogged all of the spotlight. This was an alien concept to me as a Dota player. You can look at several different heroes, and their skin catalogs are not only vast, but the skins themselves tend to be high quality, no matter how popular they are. Not to mention, when Razor got his Arcana, he was the 111th most picked hero in the game according to Dota Buff. Now, looking at the droplets of content all my League characters got during these 3 years, it wasn't worth it. I was waiting years for skins or animated shorts or something. But, to be fair, Karthus did get a lot of screen time in the Pentakill event. Even then, my main man Fiddle felt abandoned. He went from 2018 to 2022 before getting 1 skin. The skin he got was decent, don't get me wrong, but 4 whole years? All the generally appealing, attractive anime characters were getting so much more attention than my hero pool, which had grown to a decent size of roughly 15. I really gravitated towards the monster characters in League of Legends, but it just felt like they were flat out ignored by Riot most of the time, in favor of milking their cash cow, waifu, and husbando characters. With the type of money that company has, you'd think they'd want to branch out into more creative, unique ideas than just making skin after skin of the same 30 heroes over and over. Waiting every other Tuesday just to see that all the characters I cared about were missing out was just disheartening. At least with Valve, waiting for 4 years is kind of a normal thing. I found myself playing less and less League throughout the course of 2023. I'd really only play if my friends were online, and only then it was around 2 to 3 times a month. The final nail in the coffin for me was Vanguard. This anti-cheat is notorious for a reason. I don't know much about code or whatever kernel level anti-cheat does, but from everything I hear about it, from FPS drops to bricking entire systems, I just couldn't take the risk. I already had dealt with a bricked PC in the past, and I wasn't about to have it happen again. And so, in the midst of 2024, when Vanguard was a week away from being put into League of Legends, I uninstalled the game, along with all Riot products, and let it be. I do look back fondly on my time with League of Legends. All I have to do is scroll down on my channel a bit, and there all my memories are. The clip dumps that I started uploading always had a second purpose besides getting views. This being preserving said memories. I go back and watch my old League videos from time to time to relive those moments of joy with my friends. Those moments where I was still getting the hang of Karthus, or hitting a fat ultimate as Fiddlesticks, or laughing in call with my friends about some dumb joke.
Nah, Jimmy, you should join Antifa. Alright, Jimmy, you should take the red pill, Jimmy.
I have it.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
Jimmy, are you gonna take the red pill or are you a beta cuck?
Yeah, it had its problems. Yeah, it was unenjoyable most of the time, but it's an experience I would love to relive, given the chance. Dota 2 will always be the better game, in my opinion. The heroes, the art style, the gameplay, and the community are all superior to League of Legends. Everything about it is near perfect in my eyes, and though it may seem ludicrous to most of my Dota pals to say this, but League of Legends will always have a special place in my heart. Thus, I've taken my leave from the rift, through the field and down the lane, but my voice may yet be heard again. Once upon a time, oh, once upon a time, I would walk through your wooded rows, with jagged teeth and storms of crows. But here lies the end of me, and my years in League of Legends 3. God bless, and until next time.